In today's show, we discuss, did Johanna Budwig find a cheap and effective cure for cancer?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo, and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Tayo Boya. Tayo, hello, my friend, once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well. You still on mute?
Well, that proves it, hey? The who dies first? The lucky ones, huh? I told you. You didn't believe me.
I didn't have to hear that.
Yeah, what the hell, right?
And neither did my audience. Our audience. Oh, brilliant. So are you well, my friend? Are you well?
Yeah, I guess.
I won't ask you to say hi to our audience because I'm worried what you're saying now.
Well,
no, come on. Why break tradition? Come on.
I'd say hi, audience, obviously, yes.
Wow. This is stop there. Stop there. That's brilliant. We must capture that.
Stop there.
Brilliant. Right. Before we continue with the topic for today, I will ask all of you out there, listeners and viewers out there that are consuming our show on all the various different platforms, please like and comment on any of the shows that we produce, because we do value your feedback. Only last week we had some feedback which we responded to, so please keep those coming in. We may not reply immediately because obviously there's a load of platforms out there, but whatever you're on, please comment. We do get round to you eventually. So yes, keep those suggestions coming in. Any ideas for topics, anything you like about the show, things you dislike, like this segment with the funny joke, maybe. That's not a hint to encourage anyone, by the way.
No hint at all.
So yeah, we do appreciate any comments that you put forward. Okay, today's topic. This is one that Tayo brought up, and I'm sort of dubious here as to whether it's actually conspiracy. So we haven't named this show a conspiracy, but maybe it may touch on it. But I'll read out what we're going to discuss. It's, did Johanna Budwig find a cheap and effective cure for cancer? So Tayo, you came up with this. So obviously you've found out a little about this woman. If you could enlighten our audience, please.
The lady concerned, who has left us now, she has passed on. She was a biochemist, I believe, in the 50s, and she was quite big, recognized expert in her field at the time. And little by little, working with cancer patients and looking at the medical profession and its response to cancer, she formed the opinion that cancer treatments were missing the mark by quite a wide berth, because she felt it had to do with, I mean, not to go into bore people with the details, but she felt that it really had to do with oxidation, and antioxidation was therefore the cure. So oxygen, which is critical to our well-being, as anybody who's held their breath for any amount of time knows, is in itself quite a vicious little molecule. Well, actually, it's an atom, isn't it? It's a vicious little thing.
Molecule, isn't it? Oxygen is.
Well, O2 is a molecule.
O2,
O2 is a but oxygen as a sort of
a single one.
A single one is, it wants to bind to things. It really sort of wants to. It's not happy to be alone. It wants to grab something else, and if it does that within the body, it is grabbing onto things which lead to a disruption in our cells, which then leads to cancer. So having what they call free radical, I think it's called free radicals,
free radicals
running around in your system is not a good idea at all. So you're always looking for antioxidants, which is why you're always looking for sort of omega-3 and fatty acids and things like that, which everyone says, hey, this is what's good for you, because it helps reduce these free radicals running around in your system, and therefore reduces the chances of getting cancer. And if you do have a cancer, hopefully reduces the severity of the cancer. So she developed, lo and behold, a diet. So it's non-invasive. You follow the diet. All the published material I can find says you should follow for about 5 years to get the best from the diet, which I don't know why 5 years. I have no idea why it should be. But how I came across this is there is a channel I follow on YouTube, and the gentleman in the channel claimed that he had a cancer, which was on his shoulder, and there were gruesome pictures that he shared with us of this horrible thing growing on his shoulder. And it was looking like he was not long for this world. And someone mentioned this diet to him, and he thought, well, at this point, well, I might as well try. And he tried it, and within 2 to 3 weeks, the tumor had reduced significantly in size. He shared a picture of it. And the difference between 3 weeks is there's no point in my holding up my hand for for our listeners who are just listening to the audio podcast. But the difference in size was remarkable. And then I think within a month or two, he went back to the cancer clinic, and they were saying, well, basically the cancer is so small now that they could treat it differently. Originally, they were treating it, I believe it was with chemo, and chemo makes you ill, I understand.
It's not ideal. It's a concoction of very strong, potent chemicals. That's why it's chemo. And yes, they do attack the cancer, but they also
attack everything
cause
else.
side effects in the body as well. Yes, you're very, very sick and ill as well, unfortunately. Yeah.
So they said they were going to use radiation on it, and the advice from the clinic, because the lady, the doctor, I don't know if I mentioned her name, is Johanna Budwig.
German biochemist.
Yes, Johanna, 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 and then Budwig, Budwig. But of course, the W in the German pronounces it like a V almost, isn't it? Like a Budwig.
Yes.
Budwig. Yes, so she's got this clinic, or she created this clinic in Germany, and it's still going strong, by the way. And they told this chap, well, stay away from the chemo because your immune system would be compromised. I can't, exact details elude me at the present time. I'm not really sure it's important. What is important is that he didn't go back to conventional therapy, and he's completely in remission, and he hasn't had a relapse since. So he was understandably shocked by this. And then a friend of his had cancer. He recommended this treatment, and again, it showed remarkable results. Unfortunately, this friend of a friend had a little bit of cancer left, and then decided to listen to the doctors and to go in and have some kind of treatment. I can't remember what treatment exactly. And this treatment just knocked out his immune system, and the poor chap died of a common cold, which I didn't even know it was actually possible.
Well, if you have no immune system, then you can die from a common cold. Your immune system is there to fight it off. And chemotherapy is not one size fit all. There's multitude of chemicals that different dosage and combinations. So you're not using them all the same dosage, different things, and they affect people in different ways. And some respond to some cancers and some don't. So the doctors have to literally trial and error when they use chemotherapy and see which particular combinations have an effect at reducing the cancer. The problem with radiotherapy which is usually radiation,
Hmm.
is the collateral damage around other organs. So you can only use radiotherapy on particular areas like
Mm.
skin, because
Mm.
skin cancer, you can use radiotherapy because it's exposed. But when you have a cancer that's further deep in the body, it's too big a risk to use radiotherapy because it can damage all the other surrounding tissue and any adjacent organs. So
Mm.
radiotherapy, by and large, is the most effective because it actually zaps the cells, the cancer cells, but it can only be used in certain places in the body, whereas chemotherapy can be used wherever because it's a mixture of chemicals together to try and reduce the cancer. But as you've already said, it can play havoc on the immune system and therefore leading you to perhaps being ill via other more mundane illnesses that you and I would just, fight off, second nature. And that's the
You see,
shame.
if you said you died of a flu, I would understand. But well, this is really an aside, isn't it? But if you say someone dies of a flu, I can understand. But to have a cold,
Well,
it's
that means
what
is
actually kills? What kills? What is
the
it? Is
immune system, even now when you get a cold, kicks in and
mm.
stops the cold virus from causing you real problems with your breathing, etc. And because,
So it's just like a flu then.
yeah,
You
it's like
can't just
a
can't
cold
you
is
can't
part of the same family. It
you
is. It's
can't
just,
breathe, I suppose.
yeah, it's just a milder version.
Mm.
So that's all it is. Various iterations of the cold. That's why they say they can't cure the common cold,
Mm.
but our bodies can just deal with it because it's not that intrusive. Flu, on the other hand, as we've obviously know, we've been through it, variations of that, and some can be quite deadly, especially
Mm.
to those who are impaired in some way.
Mm.
So yeah, this
I wanted to bring
happens.
this. I wanted to bring this to the attention of our listeners because if a listener is unfortunate enough to have cancer, and there is this treatment which is said to be effective, I'm going to share with you, Tony.
I've
And
got the ingredients of it anyway.
no, I'm going to share. You see, I'll come to it in a second, but I'm going to share a link with you, which we want to share with our audience, because I think everyone should have this link. And I think everyone should be able to have a look at the link and make up their own minds as to the efficacy of the treatment. Because
Can I just jump in for just very quickly? You see, this gentleman who you said was in the video, who said he had a cancer, so he tried this diet and the cancer went away or reduced.
no, it went away.
Went away. Okay. I thought you said it got so small that
Because
they could
yes,
operate
and then he
separately.
said no because you're not recommendation now that he says. I've not heard anyone else say this, but his recommendation was that he found out from the clinic that you really shouldn't take conventional treatment, which compromises any treatment which compromises your immune system, because this other the Budwig treatment, if you want to call it that, or the Budwig diet
Protocol, they called it.
oh, okay, the Budwig protocol will itself act in a way that allows for the disaster to overtake you, as it did the friend of the friend. So once if it's showing, if basically, if it has brought your cancer into or close to remission, it's don't do chemo. I think it's don't do chemo, which the doctors don't like. So I'm going to talk about that separately.
Mm. The chemo, you're right, chemo, it is effective, by the way. It does actually
Otherwise, it has
bring,
stopped.
yeah, it does work and it does produce the results, although it makes people very sick while they're on chemo, but it does reduce the cancer. Now, it doesn't work on all cancers, but a majority of them it does work for. Now, the thing is, the example that you've given us
Mm.
about this gentleman, that's a correlation.
Mm.
We can't prove that the diet was the cause of
Mm.
the cancer.
Mhm.
the cause of the cancer remission. We
Mhm.
can't. It's
Mhm.
just a correlation. Now, the point is, most cancers can be affected by the person's attitude. If they believe they will recover, they improve their chances of recovery. Whereas if they don't believe that they'll recover, they reduce their chances of recovery. It's not a complete,
Mhm.
on or off,
The
setting. No,
placebo effect, basically.
exactly. It's this attitude to your health that if you believe you will recover, you will recover.
Well then, I'm effed, aren't I?
No,
I get it.
you can change your attitude. We
Nah, I
we
can't
we
change it.
have we naturally have a negative bias as humans,
Hmm.
but we can change. I gave you that story. Do you remember the story of the lady in Bradford that
Yes,
I told our audience
yes. But the thing
a
is,
number of episodes before? And she had cancer.
yeah. But
And
the
go
thing
on.
is, the thing is, the effort of having me change my mind is so great that I think I just rather just shuffle on. To be honest, man, it's just
The effort. What do you
yeah.
mean the effort? It's a change of thought. You got a billionth of a volt of electricity that make up your thoughts. All you got to
Mm.
do is change that thought from one to another. Now, I'm not saying it's as easy and straightforward, and
Well,
you
there
think,
you
yeah,
go.
I'm cured immediately. But thinking, changing your thoughts
Uh,
is too much trouble. Come
yeah,
on. If it
yeah.
means between life and death, you will change your thoughts.
Die.
Oh no, 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 no. If
It's
that was
time.
true,
Mm.
and you're in a situation like that, you would refuse all medical assistance.
No,
That there you go then.
no.
So you want them?
But I don't want a medication in which I have to believe in it for the blooming thing to work.
No, it's not believing the medication. It's believing you will recover.
Well,
There's
that's
a
actually more.
difference.
Now it
How you
complicated it.
use what you use is immaterial. It's whether you feel you will recover. That's the difference. It
Well, with my luck, I'm not. With my luck, I ain't gonna recover. So what the hell,
it
man?
you see, the thing is, all these things are valuable in addition to the evidence-based medical treatments because we have to have a
Ah,
baseline. No, but we have
wow.
to have a baseline. And
Ah.
a lot of the time, a lot of the time with some of the therapies that we've already discussed, like
Hmm.
chemotherapy, radiation, immunology, etc. These are evidence-based. They've measured the outcomes of these treatments, and there's a positive outcome in a number of cases. Now, granted, they would love to raise the numbers even higher, but the fact that then they're giving these treatments, there is a modicum of success. With a lot of these other cancer cures, although I've always got a positive hat on when it comes to these, because if they benefit in 1% more than before, fill thy boots, do it, help, but don't do it instead of other treatments. So do it alongside if possible, so you're improving your chances all the way. Don't pick one over another if you feel that's the case. Now, if however, like we were talking about chemotherapy, that's quite a debilitating course of medicine. And some people are completely zapped from it once they have it. So you do have to wonder, is the quality of life whilst you're in it bearable? Is it worth it for the end result? Will you recover sufficiently and go through this pain for extended lifespan afterwards, which is the goal, I assume? So we go through this discomfort, this incredible pain and feeling ill for the hope that it cures or removes the cancer problem, so we have an extension to our life. Because cancer, as we know, seems to put a death sentence on people, even though there are some, like prostate cancer in men, it can take years to develop. And most people die of old age before prostate cancer actually kills people, although there are some aggressive versions of it. But not all cancers are the same. And that's why it's a difficult subject, and not all remedies work.
The thing about what you just said is that was she a doctor? Yes, Dr.
She was,
Budwig.
yeah.
Dr. Budwig actually poo-poos what you've just said. And she says, cancer is cancer. That, yes, cancer occurs in different parts of the body, in different places of the body, but basically, cancer is cancer. And her technique, her protocol creates a super healthy body. And this super healthy body can only be compromised by something that knocks out the immune system, which, of course, I believe chemotherapy in particular. So I think if you were on radiography, if you're on a, what's it called again? Is it radiography?
Radiation therapy.
Radiation therapy. If you're on radiation therapy, oh, I'm going to sneeze. I think, excuse me. I'm not an expert in this field. I mean, and people who have cancer, who are listening to this, you really need to get a hold of the clinic, and we're going to share the details with you. And speak to the clinic and speak to people who are experts in it, who have been treating people for donkey's years and know what they're doing. So I am only here as a pointer, if you like, as a guide. Look, there is something out there. All hope is not lost, and they have treated stage 4 cancers quite successfully. So it's worth it. It's just a diet. You don't have to go to Germany. So, you can pick up the phone and have all the support you need, or email or whatever.
I am going to jump in very quickly about what you said, where she said it's all cancers are the same. Remember?
No. She said cancer is basically, at the end of the day, cancer is cancer.
Well, it's very simplified.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a rogue cell.
Right. So
yeah, but they respond differently to different treatments. That's the thing.
Her treatment seems to work for any cancer wherever it is.
Well, I'd love to see the figures of the stats and successes she's had.
We would all love to see the figures, and it's one of the things I want to bring up, because there are two things that I am presenting today. One, the protocol, the diet itself, and where to find it, and I am going to share a link, which is basically a link of witnesses, people who went through the therapy. And it's a long list of people, and it includes things like email addresses. You can actually write to the people involved if you want to.
What about the list of people who didn't succeed?
I don't have
contact them. They're not going to provide that, are they?
Well, I don't have access, and it's for someone who was just a minute ago talking about being positive. That's
no.
Negative.
I'm not being negative. I would look at things on face value. I would have to see the success and failure rate.
Let me suggest that if you have cancer, you don't wait to see. You don't do things like that. That if you got no hope,
if you stop a particular treatment.
No. If it's not working for you, then you don't.
That's you've added a condition there.
Well, I said it earlier that if you take this thing and you see a market difference like this guy did, then they tell you, oh, you've only got this little bit left. Let's do this to you. You're supposed to say like, thank you very much. No. I believe I said so.
I'm not sure we should be giving clinical advice to anybody, really.
It's not clinical advice. It's very simple advice. If you got cancer, and it's not, whatever treatment you're on so far doesn't appear to be working, give this other thing a shot, because other people have given it a shot.
Agreed. So you're saying try traditional evidence-based medical treatments that we all know first. If they don't work, then look for these alternatives. You're not actually saying, dispense with the current clinical and empirical based methods, although they can have, poor after effects, if you know what I mean. So you're saying dispense with those altogether. Don't bother with them. Just go straight to these alternative non-evidence based.
The person who switched me onto this, the video that switched me onto this, he was under medical treatment that wasn't working.
Yes, you put a caveat there. If it's not working, fair
Well,
enough. Then of course you're going to look
if it's
at
working,
elsewhere.
what's the problem? You don't have a
Yeah,
problem.
indeed.
If you're being treated and it's working, you don't have a problem. You jog on.
Okay. Now I just
right?
wanted the clarification where you say try the proper treatment.
I don't think. I mean, knock on wood, I won't get cancer in the first place. But I think after reading this stuff, I probably just want to try this first. It's non-invasive, like I say.
Yeah, true. My son is on a similar subject. Just the other day made me laugh. Okay. Because he mentioned if someone got ill, you would dial 999. You wouldn't stand over them and go,
Mm-hmm.
or try and do magic. He'd say, call 999 and get the people who've actually treated others in a similar mold to look after you because they know what they're talking about. It's like the example of if you have a toothache, you wouldn't go to a carpenter. He could take your tooth out, but you'd got to go to a dentist because he knows what he's talking about. And the people in the medical field and medical industry, they are 99% of them, I'm not going to say all, but a big chunk of them want to do good for patients. They want patients to improve. So they're doing the best they possibly can to help you get better. So
let me tell you something that happened to me, and the last effect of it was about 2 hours ago when I had a call with my GP. So I'm under treatment of a specialist for existing.
Yeah, don't leave. Yeah, don't share
for an existing
too much. Yeah.
for an existing condition. I'm on the treatment, and fortunately, educated to some degree. I suppose my detractors would argue that I might not be all that educated, but that's their problem, not mine. I'm educated. So when I got a letter from my specialist written to my GP saying, please put trial on blah, 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 aspirin. I was like, what? And I thought, no, that can't be right. So I went to the pharmacist and I said, does this make sense? Because I always buy my medicines in the same pharmacy. And the pharmacist said, well, no, based on the other things you're taking, no, you can't be on this. Where did this come from? I showed him the letter. I was like, I don't understand this. Talk to your GP. And just this evening, 2 hours ago, the GP called me and said, I don't understand this. Don't do this. Now that's from a specialist.
Okay.
Right?
But a specialist in
the specialist treating me.
Okay. But he doesn't know all the medication that you might be taking, surely.
Of course she does. It's related to the same problem. So
that's interesting. So yeah, they were happy to prescribe something which your GP and the pharmacist thought, no, that's not advisable.
They're going back to question her.
Okay. Which is good. Good.
Yeah. But it started with me being skeptical about it and saying, no, hang on. So if I hadn't been skeptical, if I hadn't been educated, I'd been like, well, that's what the doctor says, blah, blah, pop, 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 pop.
Well, the doctors have to prescribe it, not the specialists, so they would have seen it anyway, but okay.
Well, so we hope. So the thing is what it still comes down to you, the individual, have to really educate yourself and manage your own treatment because it's your body at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
People make mistakes. Okay, so based on that, right now, let me be honest, I'd go for this treatment first. Now, I'm not saying other people should, because other people are free to do what they want to do. But if I was unfortunate enough to have a diagnosis of that, I'm going to try this first because it's meant to be really quick. We're talking about just a few days. And to me, you've got months, if not years of treatment the other way. But if this thing is effective as people claim it's effective, then you see the difference within a week or two. So to me, it'd be worthwhile rolling the dice on a week or two, and then you can look at it and go, that's made a difference. That has made, there's one, I mean, it's people are going to laugh now. I don't even think I should bring it up. One story deals with an overnight success, literally overnight success. So if people are talking like that, and you see an overnight success, I don't know where you're going and for what.
That's amazing. I'd like to see the evidence of that.
Well, speaking of, let's actually start sharing. Let's start. Like I say, these people.
Whilst you're looking for that, can I go through the ingredients of this Budwig protocol,
It's
just for the
rather than
benefit.
that. I'd rather people just went.
Well, can I tell you what's in it? I mean, it makes sense.
No, what I'm saying is rather than us doing that, I've got contact at Budwig, Budwig,
Yeah.
center, spelt the American way, which is CENTER
Mm-hmm.
.com. That's the email address. You can write to them and they'll walk you through the whole thing. So better is better. I mean, we say we're two numpties. All right. Don't talk to the numpties. Go talk to the people who have been there and doing this since 1965 or whatever it is, when they started. That's the one thing. And then you want to hear about all the what do you call it? Testimonials.
Yeah.
So this is the page. I'm going to share it now with Tony. Assuming I can find our WhatsApp, and Tony will then publish it along with this episode. So
You see what this Budwig protocol has. It's mainly high amount of flaxseed oil and mixed with cottage cheese.
and it's very important spending time outside.
Well,
Spending
yeah,
time
vitamin
20
D.
minutes, a minimum of
Yeah.
20 days.
These are just
Well-
lifestyle changes, really. And also part of the diet says you must eliminate trans fats, margarine, and other unhealthy fats from the diet. That's just general health benefits, because the Western diet, and we've talked about this on our previous shows, is shocking in comparison to what we should actually be eating. If we go back to regular home cooked food and raw ingredients that you purchase and then make at home yourself, a lot of the illnesses, the niggly illnesses that we get during our day-to-day lives will disappear. Also, our weight will regulate because our bodies know how to regulate themselves with food if we're eating proper food. The problem is processed food. And for convenience sake and for companies' profits, a processed food makes sense because for them, they can keep it in storage for longer, keep it on the shelf longer, so they can eventually sell it without having to churn it out over and over and waste ingredients. So for them, for companies, it's a win-win because they're earning money. The consumer thinks, oh, great, I can get this convenient package off a shelf. I can put it in my cupboard for a few days. I don't have to consume it straight away. When I'm ready, open the packet, there it is, and I can just eat it. But for it to be in that state, it's been processed. It's had added sugar more than not. It's had added additives. It's had emulsifiers in order to keep it in its reasonable state. And unfortunately, our bodies struggle with those things. We cannot break them down alongside proper food. So what happens? Our body gives up because it only gives a certain amount of energy to the breaking down of food process and stores it as fat. Fat, as we know, accumulates around the arteries and our organs, which put additional strain on those organs, and so doing can lead to illness and disease. It's simple. We cut out processed food. If anyone wants the answer, the secret, it's that. Cut out processed food.
Well, that's not
Learn to cook and make from scratch once again, because countries where they only have raw ingredients and make their own food, cancer, heart disease, and the ilk, which plagues the Western world, is almost non-existent. These illnesses have become prominent since the 60s, 50s, 60s.
Let's not conflate two things. You're talking about preventing,
of course,
cancer,
a lot of this is
as
preventing.
opposed to curing cancer.
Well, the curing cancer element of Dr. Johanna Budwig's belief was that the cell membrane is compromised if we don't consume proper food, and in particular certain fats like omega-3, for instance, which is produced from fish and other natural foods. So she's a believer of really increasing the dose of omega-3 and omega-6. So in so doing, it helps the cells recover. Now, it's all anecdotal evidence. There's not a lot of empirical evidence to back this up. But as you've said, anecdotal evidence is still valuable because it seems to work in some cases. Not in all cases, but some cases. So further study is needed to ensure that this is actually doing what it says.
This protocol has been around since 1965. Here's a conspiracy question for you now. Why hasn't anyone conducted a so-called scientific research on it? Since 1965, we pour millions, if not billions of dollars into cancer research. Hasn't anyone just taken the time and the money and the effort just to say, do you know what? Let's either look into this thing and say it's a lot of nonsense and poo-poo it properly, scientifically. You want to tell me that since 1965 all the way to 2023, no one has done that? No one can be bothered to do that.
Do you know why?
Yeah, tell me why.
Well, I'll tell you. It's because there's no money in it.
Well, I think it's more than there's no money in it. I think the problem is, what if it works?
Well, what if it works?
Yes.
If it works,
that's what I think.
The point is, no one is investing any money in it because there's no way of getting a return on it. Because the ingredients that Johanna Budwig is alluding to are ingredients you can pick up from any store.
It's worse than that, Tony. It's not just that they can't make money out of it. It's that it will kill the money they're already making out of it.
Well, indeed, it's undermining them.
So
at the end of the day, pharmaceutical companies are businesses. Yeah.
It's not even that. What about the government? Why haven't governments done it? If it is this testimonial link that I've sent to you suggests, look, here's what I keep on going on about testimonials, and you've had your little thing. Let me have mine.
Yeah, please.
Here's someone called Gloria. I don't know how you pronounce this name. Biermann, Biermann.
Yeah, Biermann.
Biermann, and there's a picture of Gloria Biermann there. She's given her email address so that you can write to her. She's given her telephone number in the United States so you can call her, which is a bit
strange.
Not strange, brave, because I don't know how many calls the poor woman we're getting. Anyhow, she says, thank you for blah, blah. Dear Jenkins, regarding my bladder cancer some years ago in 2012, I ended up doing research because I wasn't at all on board with my urologist recommended treatment. He wanted to give me TB, tuberculosis, to boost my immune system. When I found the Budwig Center, I canceled my appointment. Then a few hours later, he called me to ask why I had canceled. I told him about your center and I said I was going to take that route. He said, then you will at least come to see me in 3 months for a checkup because you will want to know if it's working. I said, sure, I will do that. 3 months later, I went to my appointment and there was no cancer. All he said was to keep on doing what you are doing and come back in another 3 months. I agreed, and 3 months later, there was still no cancer. Again, another 3 months, same result. I can tell you, when I was in the waiting room, I wanted so badly to tell people about your center, but I knew that most people would not want to be bothered because because of the faith most had in their doctors. I didn't do everything recommended, but I did most things. And then she goes on, blah, blah, and then she signs it. There's George, it was age 71. And if some people don't want to come forward because it's a private thing.
Of course.
So after their name, you'll see an asterisk. And then they'll say at the bottom of the page, not their real name. But they themselves attest to the fact that this is a real person. And if you read these things, I think you can tell that, well, I don't know if you can tell. I'm prepared to believe that it's a real person, and I don't see why they lie. Charles suffered from recurrent bladder cancer and underwent surgery in 2018 and again in January 2019, which resulted in him now using a colostomy bag. From January to April 2019, 3 injections, immunotherapy, ET, strong protocol, I don't know what all this stuff is, durvalumab. Charles came to the Budwig Center and received our full comprehensive program. And since his last checkup in September 2022, he is still cancer-free with no more recurrence of cancer. Charles is so pleased with the results, he has decided to write a book to spread the word to as many people as possible. Charles only speaks French. This is a translation. On and on and on and on. I don't want to bore people because just follow the link. Look, which is to this consult. What's it called? Testimonial page. Go through it yourselves. If you're completely satisfied, I would suggest give them a call. By the way, I'm not shilling for them. I don't get a penny from this.
Of course. You should be on commission, maybe.
I'm not on commission. No, that's the whole point. I don't want to be on commission or anything. I just think it's important that people know that there's an alternative, that there may be an alternative out there. I think it's worth giving it a shot because it's not, look, and like Tony is just giving you the, you can actually find the ingredients and how to use it yourself.
Yeah.
You don't actually need to go to, that's another thing.
I know.
If you think, oh, this is all a money scam or something, I tell you what, do it yourself. You know, you might want to be part of a support group of other people who are doing it themselves so that you can all bounce off each other and learn from one another. And that's not going to cost you any money either. So this is not a money-making thing.
And the thing is, it's a shame that there isn't any investment in research on this.
Government should do it. The NHS should do it.
The problem being the big pharmaceutical companies, they lobby governments, and they bring in loads of taxes, so they dissuade governments for looking at alternative medicines because the pharmaceutical companies are looking after their interests. Let's be honest. They've got a business to run. Yes, they want to help people, but they want people to buy their products in order to get help. So if there's alternatives that remove the need for their products and people can get them for free, they're going to dissuade the government from spending money to look into these alternative therapies. Now, the thing is, this is not the only alternative therapy. There are many out there. There are just as many alternative therapies to cancer as there are, I don't know how many, but there's loads. I'll give you an example of a friend of mine who sadly passed away. She was a business owner and she had breast cancer. Now, she survived it the first time and she had a mastectomy on one side. She even appeared in a national newspaper with her story. And she was quite a successful businesswoman. And then, unfortunately, the cancer came back. I think more to do with the fact of what was going on in her life, personal life, because stresses play havoc on the body. So external pressures, we can deal with it for a short period, but not for long periods. That stress will build up and have adverse effect on your organs and cells, etc. So she didn't want to go through the chemotherapy, which actually cured the cancer first time round. She wanted to go down an alternative therapy route. And there was one in particular which advocated to make your body alkaline. So you remove all the acidity in your body. So you go vegan, you eat only plant-based food, and you're trying to eradicate the excess acid which accumulates around the body. Don't know how much evidence of that there was, but anyway, she went along with it, and she was always also encouraged to cleanse her mind of stresses, which is a good thing. She even went to India because the place that advocated this was in India, and they had many successes and many people were cured. So she took the trip to go to India to cleanse herself of acid and ensure that she stuck on a plant-based diet to become alkaline in nature. And she was blogging her story on a daily basis. And people in the UK were following her story in India, how she felt, was she feel any better, etc., etc. And this went on for a number of days, and all of a sudden it stopped, just suddenly. And she'd been there 2 or 3 weeks. she'd raised money through funding, and because we knew her, we all contributed to help her get to India to actually spend time at this, in quotes, clinic. Unfortunately, her blogging stopped. We didn't know what happened. And it was only several weeks later, her brother posted on her blog to say that she'd unfortunately passed away over in India. So these alternative therapies aren't, you know, a utopia that will fix everything. There's not enough evidence. It's all circumstantial, and it's good because if it works for some people, like I said, fill your boots, give it a go. But we have to draw a baseline. We have to we sort of have to go via evidence-based research, and we can do that with some of the traditional ways. We somehow have to get evidence-based research done on these alternatives and sort of find out which ones are good or not. We need a benefactor, rich billionaire who's willing to look at these and invest in the research for these, because clearly the pharmaceutical companies are not interested.
Maybe someone should get a hold of Elon Musk.
I dare say someone may have already suggested this. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. The world's billionaires.
An Elon Musk type character, I believe,
Yeah,
would come forward.
there's enough
I'd
of them.
Really worried about Bill Gates trying to get a hold of this.
Why?
Well, because he seems to turn everything to some money-making side hustle of some sort.
That's not true. There's been a lot of bad press about Bill Gates, which has actually turned out to be false. But his name has been tarnished because of it, which is a shame.
Well, would you care to give an example so that we know what you're talking about?
Well, he was tarnished with a particular vaccine. This is not COVID.
Oh, in India.
In India, and he was asked to leave and all this. It was all lies. There was not a shred of evidence that he was to blame, and he was kicked out of India, and he was testing medicines on the children there. That was all fabricated. It's a total lie. And
How do you know that?
Because even the Indian authorities put a statement out. We did not throw, even the people that were accused of throwing him out said we did not throw him out. He didn't do that.
Well, that's a clear win.
So when somebody wants to undermine somebody, they can. And
I wonder why anyone would want to undermine him. Anyway, I think that's a little bit. I just wanted to know why he'd be a good candidate when other people say he wouldn't be a good candidate. So I think Elon Musk is shown his mettle by being a good supporter to truth and freedom, right of freedom of speech with his ex, previously known as Twitter. He's shown his bona fides as a philanthropist. So maybe someone should get a hold of me. I don't use X. Do you use X?
No.
Someone who uses X, please tell Elon.
Can they look at this?
Yeah, and you look at this and say, look, can you look into this and let's have a proper study done? I mean, I'm calling for proper study. In the meantime, I'm saying that from my source, which is not a private source, from the guy I follow on YouTube and his personal experience, and from all these testimonials here, again, with telephone numbers and emails and so on and so forth, a lot of them I see have written about it and have created websites and things. So they too are trying to get the word out. I'm happy that there is probably something in here that is worth looking at. If you're desperate, I mean, if you got cancer and you are desperate, then I would strongly urge you to look into this and see if it can help.
Well, indeed. I mean, it's not a good situation to obviously get cancer, but if you can prevent it by just making small lifestyle changes and tweaks, that's all it needs. That's all it needs. And then you may not even get cancer in your lifetime.
Well, that's the best solution.
Of course it is. And just little changes. Trans fats, for instance. Oh dear. They are one of the worst foods you can possibly eat.
But they're delicious.
They are, but they're made to be, and they are in things like biscuits and
Biscuits
cakes
are
and things.
delicious.
I know,
Cakes are wonderful.
but that's the problem because they are in quotes designed to be that way so that you don't just have one, you have several. See, one is not a problem. The issue is that people don't stop at one. That's the problem.
I hold my hand. I'm holding up my hand.
Because, and that's the issue. Margarine, for instance.
Oh,
We
yeah,
talked about margarine.
I don't actually like the taste of margarine. It tastes all cloying. It clings to your teeth and things. It's like, it's really unnatural. I despise margarine. I really do.
Margarine is another one that's awful.
Well, there's a
Awful as
popular
product.
brand of fried chicken,
Yeah.
and I think it's cooked in trans fat oil or something.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely delicious. I had some this afternoon.
But the thing is, occasionally, there's the word.
Yeah,
It's
occasionally.
fine. Your body can deal with it. It's when we have too many.
Every single day.
Well, not necessarily every single day. If you have it 3 times a week, it's too much. And
Wow.
also in between then, you're still having biscuits and you're still having cookies or you're still having a cake. This is all bad fats.
All right.
And that's the problem. It's the accumulation of many different things which all contain these sorts of bad products which affect our bodies. And we don't even give our bodies a rest. So, for instance, give it just 3 to 5 days of eating just healthy food. That gives the body time to recover from that spell of poor food. But we don't. Every day we're eating something which is either processed, contains some sort of emulsifier, some trans fat, or something along those lines, which our body struggles to deal with. It's not a natural substance. It's safe in small quantities, but cumulatively over a period of time, eating it from different products has a detrimental effect on our body. The body can self-regulate. It can look after itself. It has done for thousands of years. It's just the last 60 years it has struggled because of all these additional food groups that have been added, which are clearly not good for us.
Well, I'll tell you what, it would be terrible to avoid eating all these delicious foods only for NATO and Russia to kick off and blow each other up with nukes. And then we all die from radiation, the cancer caused by radiation. Then be sitting around going, I could have eaten that blooming cake, but Tony was going on blah, 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 blah.
No, I now, after hearing something just the other day, I don't think America and Russia are going to blow each other up.
Would you care to share? I know it's not quite on topic, but I'm curious.
I know. We're digressing ever so slightly. So because you threw that in as to say, well, we can't eat all these nice foods. Of course you can eat all these nice foods, but just don't eat them every day. A good rule of thumb is eat healthy during the week, and then you can have whatever you want at the weekend. There you go. But healthy 5 days,
all right. That's
unhealthy 2 days.
That's Dr. Tony's advice.
That gives your body enough days to recover from the 2 days.
Realist style. My advice. Remember, the lucky ones die first. So what you do is eat what the hell you want and go out happy, baby. All right? Just go out happy. Take responsibility, though. Don't start whinging. When you find out, you do have cancer, don't start, Tile said, You take responsibility, okay? I didn't force it down your gullet. All right.
We are responsible for what goes through here in our mouths.
Exactly. You put it in there. You're responsible for it.
How much we take. We can't blame others. Sometimes we easily want to blame other people. Oh, they made me eat it. That's actually not true.
Nobody
they can influence you, but you have to pick it up with your hand and actually put it in your mouth and chew. They're not forcing the food down your throat. You've chosen that bit. And maybe guilt or don't want to embarrass yourself or them, that's a problem of yours. That's nothing to do with the food. You've chosen to eat because of guilt or embarrassment or not to upset somebody. That's a nonsense reason. It really is. You should be eating because your body needs food, and it should be wholesome food. And if you can make it at home, all the better. It's the convenience foods, the processed foods, we should really reduce. You don't have to eliminate completely, but just reduce. Reduce once or twice a week max. That's
Has
it.
anybody, as you asked for scientific evidence for this Budwig diet? Can I
Yes.
ask for your scientific evidence for if you eat it once a week, you'll be fine? Where's your scientific evidence for that?
Your body has enough time. I don't have it on hand, but your body has enough time to recover.
Can you find it and share it with us?
I could look for it, yes.
All right, then. So we
But
expect to
the
see that.
reason how I can say this with sort of more authority is that I'm a weight loss mentor. I mentor people on how to lose weight.
Well,
So
that makes
it's
that
part of
to
that
me
information.
that makes you suspect because then you're selling something, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm not telling you to buy any particular brand of food. I'm telling you what to eat,
You're supporting
which
your
is
industry, though.
sensibly. I'm supporting a
You're supporting your industry.
no. I'm supporting people to lose weight and feel good about themselves and be healthy.
That supports your industry. You're in the industry. It's like a cancer, a big pharma person saying, no, I really recommend you go to a trained medical person.
But I'm not. I'm not.
I'm just saying.
Selling. Yeah. But I'm not selling a particular brand.
Not
I'm
not directly, but
no.
but you are bigging up your industry.
I'm telling people that if they continue eating processed food over a long period of time, then they're going to get the cancers and maybe need this Johanna Budwig's protocol. And you don't want to get to the point where you're using it as a cure. You don't even want to get the cancer in the first place. And that's what I'm advocating.
Oh,
It's slightly different. So I don't want people to have to diet. I don't want people to, have to feel bad about themselves. I want them to feel great and feel healthy and feel fit. Unfortunately, the food in the Western diet, the Western food available to us, the diet itself, is a pandemic in itself. And many, many people will get cancer because they will just be seduced by the biscuits, the fried chicken, the pizzas.
I don't think some families even know better. As in schools, well,
When are people
I
taught this?
teach.
When are people taught this?
Well, when they're young, because
Yeah,
I
but they're
see
not, though.
I see parents just sort of feeding their kids with these horrible foods.
Yeah,
Just
convenience
sort of
food.
day
It's convenient.
in, day out, all the time. They didn't know anything else. I asked them in cooking class, but is that how you do this? I said, well, if you don't know something that's basic like this, because I'm a cover tutor, so I cover all sorts of things. If you don't know something basic, what do you eat at home? Oh, pizza.
Ugh.
Yeah, okay, once a day, once every so often,
No,
pizza. And they're like, when I go home now, there'll be pizza waiting for me. And they're happy. Ooh,
Yeah.
I think to myself, that's awful.
I know.
It's terrible.
It is terrible, and I dread to see what the health of the youth of today will be if they get into their 20s and they've not had a reasonable diet and not had greens. They've not had, the right sort of carbohydrates, not the simple carbs, which are sugars, etc., but the more complex carbs, which your body does need in small doses. But, and that's the problem. We're convenience food, because what happens now, more and more people are eating to get it done. Quick, eat this so you can do something else. Whereas in the past, as you probably know, growing up, eating was an experience that you shared with other people, and it was an event. You maybe took half an hour even, where you're sat there talking with other people, eating and chatting, and it's an experience. More and more people just simply don't do that anymore. And we should bring that back, because that in itself helps, because it gets you away from all the electronics of life. You actually spend quality time with a friend or family member, sitting and chatting and eating. Number one, you actually eat slower, so you don't actually eat as much. But when we use food as a commodity, quick, let's just eat quick because we want to do that task or watch that TV program or go out and do this, the food now becomes a quick, get it done.
It's a chore.
Yeah.
Eating is a chore. I watched one student today in the morning have for breakfast 2 small pork pies
For breakfast.
Breakfast, 2 small pork pies and 2. They come in little oval shaped wraps. They're called cheese, but they don't look like cheese. I don't know. I forget the name.
Red things.
Red things. I forget the name. And it doesn't even look like. And he was eating it. I guess my face was like this because as he was eating, I was like, ew, and that was his breakfast. And so he asked me, said, "Sir, why is your face like that?" I said, "Oh, it's just,
what you're eating." Yeah.
Well, I didn't say it was. I didn't want it to be like, but I was like, oh God, how can you put that in your mouth?
Oh dear.
And that's breakfast.
Oh, that's such a shame. That's the problem. We're just taking no time at all for food and just chucking it out there.
Oh, there.
Convenience food, and exactly that's all it is for our children as
well.
Although
I am fat though. I am fat, so
well.
Who am I to talk?
Did you know, in Great Britain now, 60. Let me get this right. Was it 62 or 63? 62%. I'll err on the lower figure. 62% of adults are obese or overweight. That's nearly coming up to 2/3. That's ridiculous. America's even higher, by the way.
Oh, and by the way, their obesity is not like,
oh, it's another level again.
I mean, that's just not good enough, to be honest. I'm fat, but those guys are fat.
You're skinny compared to
some of them. Honestly.
Anyway, listen, I mean, we've got to the top of the hour, so we want to sum up. Let's get back to the topic in hand. Did Johanna Budwig actually find a cheap and effective cure for cancer?
It's a belief system. You either believe the testimonials or you don't. If, like me, you do believe the testimonials, then she has. And if you don't believe the testimonials, or you need more info, or you need peer-reviewed data or something like that, then she hasn't. It's a question. I don't think anybody can actually say she hasn't, because there is no data that says that she hasn't. That's one thing that I find very interesting. No one has actually poo-pooed the work. It's just that nobody has confirmed it to the satisfaction of modern so-called scientific methods, which I'm not very impressed by anyway. Is it impressed by or impressed with? I'll take impressed by. So okay. Someone said to me the other day, "You're an English teacher, aren't you?" Because I was like always censoring myself. Anyway, there you are. Yes, so I believe, if you ask Tayo, yeah, I tend on the towards I think she has. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I think she has, and I think it's worth looking into. That's where I'm coming from. I think she has, or I think she may. I think she probably has, and I would strongly suggest that people who are struggling with cancer look into it in case it will help them.
Absolutely, I'll endorse that for sure, because if people are struggling and the conventional routes are not working, then clearly look at this. But what I would say is try and change your diet before you even get to this point, if you're concerned. But of getting it in the future, if you feel you're overweight or your health isn't as good as you think it should be, then seriously look at the food that you eat. It has more a bearing on our well-being than we actually realize. It's incredible how much sugar we consume in our diets, unbeknowing, because it's hidden in packaging just to make it last longer on a shelf. And that sugar is disastrous for our bodies. It's just not good. There are many factors, but anyway, we've gone over time here. As far as Johanna Budwig's cure, I don't know if it's a cure, but certainly worth looking into, and keep your options open, in my opinion.
Yep, absolutely.
Unfortunately, though, we have now reached the end of the show for another week.
Bye.